that this document is nothing more than an optical illusion. We oppose the adoption of this document. India opposes the adoption of this document, and please take note and regard of what we have just said from the floor of this room.
Hi, what were the outcomes of COP29? Today we will discuss about the three major outcomes of COP29 Climate Summit held in Baku, Azerbaijan. But first, let's start with a quick refresher what COP Summit is all about and why it is important. COP, or the Conference of Parties, is an annual climate summit. It brings countries together that are part under United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. Right now, this convention has 198 members who has committed to a shared goal of keeping global warming under 1.5 degrees Celsius. Think of COP as a formal meeting where world leaders, businesses, activists, policymakers and other stakeholders comes together. They review progress towards their goals, discuss challenges and plan new strategies to fight climate change. Now let's talk about COP29. The location of this year raised the controversy as Azerbaijan is highly dependent on fossil fuels. But despite of that, the primary focus was on finance and we saw the three key outcomes. Number 1, climate financing of $300 billion per year was approved. At COP29, developed nations agreed to triple climate financing from $100 billion to $300 billion annually. This funding will help developing countries to adapt climate change and transition to carbon efficient economies. However, not everyone was pleased. Countries like India and Nigeria argued that $300 billion is not enough. In fact, study shows that developing countries might need up to $9 trillion annually to effectively tackle climate change. To address these concerns, COP29 introduced a long-term target of scaling climate financing to $1.3 trillion per year by 2035. Number 2. Global carbon trading rules were finalized. After years of the negotiation, COP29 finally settled the rules of global carbon trading under the Article 6 of the Paris Agreement. So, what does this mean? In simple terms, now companies and countries can trade carbon credits. Each credit represents the 1 metric ton of carbon dioxide reduced or removed from the atmosphere. This system allows nations to offset their emissions while funding projects like reforestation and renewable project installations. These rules will also help countries like India to set up their own carbon markets and move faster towards net zero. Number 3. Loss and Damage Fund was operationalized. The Loss and Damage Fund was first approved at COP27. The fund aims to support low-income countries that are especially vulnerable to climate change and facing extreme climate disaster. So far, rich nations have pledged $730 million to the fund. As per COP29 final statement, the fund will start financing projects and distributing aid in early 2025. Apart from these three major outcomes, there are some other positive developments in the sidelines as well. India announced that it has achieved its 2015 NDCs well ahead of 2030 and nearly tripled its renewable energy capacity since 2014. Mexico set an ambitious target to reach net zero by 2050. Countries at COP29 also agreed to improving grid security and enhancing green energy transmission pathways. What are your thoughts on COP29 summit? Let us know in the comments below.